So here's a really old Ariens Sno-Thro. (1976) maybe. It's a 20-inch. With the drift cutters. Has 4 blades in the impeller. An absolutely massive gearbox. 2 grease fittings on each side of the auger shaft. It's missing the heater box. 4 horsepower Tecumseh. And these are the really old ones where the fuel tank has to sit higher with that extension bracket. So all I did really was clean the carburetor on this, change the oil, and surprisingly it started. The guy who gave it to me did quite a number on it. He snapped off that plastic elbow that goes to the fuel line. So what I did was just widen the hose and slip it over, put a hose clamp on it, and it worked just fine. You can see that massive gear that turns the chute. All of this is fabricated by hand. And there's an additional steel plate welded on top of the auger housing. The earlier models than these, so the late 60s, early 70s, functioned in such a fashion that when you would release the drive lever, it would go, and then when you wanted to stop it, you would depress the drive lever and push a pin which would hold it down, and that would stop it from moving. And what could happen is if you were to leave it to step away for a minute with vibration, it could unhinge itself and go forward. And even more hilarious, if you had the augers engaged, it could go on its own, plowing away. So obviously that wasn't such a good idea, and they came out with these safety mechanisms. They still have this manual clutch that functions like that to engage the auger. However, there's a safety switch here, and you can kind of hear it clicking away, and all that does really is interrupt spark. So you must have this engaged when you have the augers on, and then you have to disengage the clutch before releasing that, otherwise it's going to shut off. And it does function as an interlock, so when you push down the drive and you have the augers engaged, you can do it one-handed. Now it's kind of futile because the purpose of doing it one-handed is so that you can operate the machine while working the chute. And on newer models that have interlocks, it's usually on the side opposite to the chute, so you can be holding it and driving it with one hand and adjusting the chute as you're going. So you kind of have to do the old reach around routine if you want to do that in such a way. Your throttle is up here, and your choke is just simply a linkage that goes through here and chokes it. Some models had that push-in choke, and then of course the later Tecumsehs had it on the side. So there is no primer on this, you just choke it and start it, and it actually works really well. So I'll go ahead and start that up. You have to make sure that your clutch is out or off, the throttle up, key switch up, and see if we can get it to pull. I had it running a second ago, so it shouldn't take too much. The other weird thing with this is you have these solid rubber wheels. So this is like, I don't know, something you'd see on a forklift or something. I could not imagine those ever doing anything of value in snow and ice. So a chain kit is an absolute must. The only problem is that you don't have the cushiness of a pneumatic tire. So moving this thing is quite a chore with those solid rubber wheels and a chain kit. It's always fascinating to see the service stickers of where these things were brought and who worked on them. So there it is, 1970s Ariens Sno-Thro, 20-inch, 4 horsepower.